there. It's Aaron Holm, Manager of Consumer Engagement for Ottobock North America. And tonight we are going from Pittsburgh to Boston to Los Angeles, all in the next 45 minutes. Our guest tonight is Kiersten Kelly. I originally met Kiersten through the upper extremity team at Ottobock about a year ago. After spending some time on the phone with her and learning more about Kiersten, her background, her story, I knew that it was a mission that we wanted to be a part of. And hopefully, eventually, this day would come, we would be able to share a success story. The route that Kiersten took after being denied an upper extremity prosthetic device through self-education, self-advocacy is incredible. But I don't want to give the ending away, so we're going to let Kiersten talk through this a little bit. So welcome, Kiersten. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Love the introduction.
Well, thank you. I worked on that quite a bit. So we worked on that, but certainly don't want to give the ending away because I want to hear it from you. I want to hear the story again. I was just absolutely thrilled when we talked through it, and when we originally talked, it was just kind of starting. You had been battling for quite a while, but it wasn't over yet. So we've got a cool story to tell. But as mentioned, we're starting back in Pittsburgh. Born with a disability, an upper extremity limb deficiency. You're missing your forearm and hand. What was that like? What do you recall the early days, Kiersten, growing up in Pittsburgh?
I mean, for me, I've never known anything else. So growing up, I just wanted to be a kid and I just wanted to do the things that I wanted to do and that I loved and that I was interested in. So I just never knew anything differently. So my day to day was just like your day to day or anyone else's day to day life. I definitely got bullied. Uh, that was not so fun.
A smile. You had a smile on your face when you said that. That's that. That's that personality shining right there.
Yes. That part was not easy, but I don't know. Growing up was overall fun. I got to do a lot of things. I played a lot of sports. I got into music at a very early age as well, which is what led me to be doing what I'm doing today. And oh, there's me playing soccer. Uh, but yeah, growing up was good.
What was it like? You had talked a little bit about the educators, the teachers themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you talk a little bit about your perception there, your recollection?
Yeah. So, you know, growing up that I always wanted to do the same things that the other kids were doing. And around, you know, uh, elementary school, I was really getting interested in playing the drums for the school band. And there was auditions happening and I went to a teacher and, I told that teacher, "Hey, I'm interested in playing the drums." And it's really hard to explain unless, you have a disability and you've gone through this, but when I told the teacher that, the look that they gave me, it wasn't a mean look. It wasn't a bad look. It's just you could tell that they were very unsure if I would be capable of playing the drums. And I don't think they were meaning to come across this way, but gave they gave the feeling of like I just shouldn't do it or it would just be
Yeah.
too difficult to figure out how to do it. So I kind of got discouraged and I didn't really like that feeling. And I think that's where I decided that um, I didn't want anyone to make me feel that way again. And I think that's where I started to get my personality a bit.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. Nobody's going
yeah,
to get in your way, and I think the
yeah,
teachers probably didn't know how to approach it, obviously, so they were uncomfortable with it, but
yeah,
you are, but such a driven individual, so you went for it. You developed a passion for music early on, and it was
yeah.
that in like elementary school then, and that you developed the passion for music.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to say like, that yeah, the teachers didn't really have a lot of experience because how many people in your school can you think of that have a physical disability, a disability that people see, because people also have other disabilities that are not visible. So I'm specifically speaking on physical disabilities that are visible. There's not a lot, so they just didn't know what to do. And yeah, but elementary school is definitely where I started to gain a lot of interest in music. I was in choir. One of my first solos was in elementary school in choir, and I was so excited. I still remember it. I was super pumped. I think it was like 2 lines. That was it. And I was like, yeah, I'm a pop star now. I don't know. But yeah, and then I went on to middle school, and I just started to get more interested and performing, and around 8th grade is when I transferred to a performing arts charter school called Lincoln Park Performing Arts Charter School, and that's where I started to get more serious with music. I started taking theory classes. I was in a lot of choir classes as well, and I started to get more into other areas of music, and then I got interested in playing guitar. And that's where I had my second experience with a teacher regarding an instrument. I really wanted to play guitar, and so I got one, and I even got a little device. I brought it so I could show you. There's
Oh,
like a pick at the
fantastic.
end. Yeah, and then I
Okay.
can loosen this to position the pick where I need it to be so I can strum. And I went to a teacher at that high school slash middle school, and I told him that this is what I wanted to do, and he was so relaxed about it. He was just like, yeah, okay, we'll figure it out. But he was also very upfront. He was like, I have never taught a person with a disability how to play guitar, so it's going to be new for both of us, but we'll
Let's figure
figure
it
it
out.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just really, I don't know, he just treated me like normal because I am normal, just
Right.
because
Right.
I really appreciated that.
That's incredible. You've told me that story a couple times. I think that's just fantastic. He's an educator, and he's going to educate himself along with you, and kind of learn together. Before I go too far, I know I was supposed to let everybody know that when they have questions for Kiersten, they can just type them in the comment section, and towards the end, if you don't mind, answer a few questions from the audience. Is that cool?
Yeah, please ask
All right.
questions.
All right. There we go. I know Kayla and Mason were behind the scenes going, he's got to tell him about the questions. I always forget that. But, well, that's cool. So you learned to play the guitar, an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And what was the first song you learned?
It was an Ingrid Michaelson song. Um, I forget what it was called. It was that one, and then Daydreamer by Adele. Those are two of the first songs that I remember learning on guitar.
Well, very nice. I asked you to play tonight, but that's all right. Okay, so in 8th grade you went to the music school, and it was a specialty music school. Is that right? Or
Yeah, so it was a charter school that specialized in different forms of art. So there was music, there was dance, musical theater, production, and photography, amongst other things.
very cool. And then you graduated from there, and post
Yeah.
high school you went to Berklee College of Music
Hmm.
with a dual
Yes.
major and a scholarship, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
In Boston, Massachusetts. We're from Pittsburgh to Boston. First time in Boston when you went to Berklee?
So my first time going to Boston was actually in high school. So the summer after my junior year and the summer after my senior year, I went to Berklee 5-week program, which is a summer camp that Berklee offers in Boston, so that you can take classes. So I did have some experience with Boston whenever I arrived at Berklee for college. So it was a little easier than it would have been, if I had just gone straight to college without being there prior. It was easier to get
Sure.
acclimated.
And you were focused on, was it music business, or what were the dual majors in? Maybe you said that, I missed it.
No worries. I was a dual major in music business and songwriting.
Okay. Very good. And what was your plan at that time to where were you going to take that? Songwriting and singing, entertaining?
Yeah, so I have always loved performing. I've loved just being on the stage and walking around and, interacting with people in the crowd. That has always been just my go-to. So whenever I got to Berklee, I thought about it and I really decided, whenever I graduate, I want to be able to walk into a room and feel confident, look confident, and be able to have a conversation, with the business team. So I told myself that I would major in music business so that I would know, at least the basics. I would know what I was doing. And I think as a woman in the industry too, it's really important to have as much information as possible. Even just as an artist, it's really important to know the business side to some extent, uh, because it's good for you to be in the room. It's very good. So I just decided to do music business, and then I decided to do songwriting because when it comes to creating, I wanted to be in the room. I want to be in everything. So I decided to do songwriting because I had written a couple songs in high school, but I wasn't really confident, to be honest, with my songwriting skills. And I thought that if I majored in songwriting, it would really push me out of my comfort zone so that I could develop that skill.
Okay, very cool. How many
Yeah.
songs do you think you wrote through high school, college? I mean, is it
I don't even know.
you're just constantly writing? That was it. You
Yeah,
were that
yeah.
was your
Constantly writing, constantly like just pulling out my phone. Like I'll be out with friends or something and I'll think of something and I'll go to my notes app and just write all these different ideas to come back to later. So there's so much. It's so disorganized. It's everywhere.
and your friends expect that from you. They know what you're doing when all of a sudden you stop in the middle of a conversation or thought and go to your phone and start typing, I suppose.
Yeah,
She's
I
writing.
think
She's writing.
yeah.
All right, then after high school or after college, you went to the other coast now. You're heading over to Los Angeles, where you're at today, to pursue a career in music.
Yeah, so I'm very much a person that when I have an idea or I make a decision, I'm just going to do it. I just, why wait? Just start the process. So I moved to LA 3 days after I walked to graduation. That was a very hectic time. I don't know what I was thinking. Looking back, I'm like, wow, I really could have used a very long nap or something.
Yeah, a little breather. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I moved to LA and got to LA around like 2 a.m., I want to say, got to my Airbnb, and literally the next morning, I went to my first day at my internship. And I was there for 2 or 3 days, and then I flew to Vegas because I was working the Billboard Music Awards. So that week was yeah, that was crazy.
Right into it right away.
Yeah.
And, and and then you discovered a modeling opportunity, right? At about the same time. Was that
It was about a couple months after that. So I think the first couple months in LA, I was just trying to adjust. Um, Adjusting to LA was a little harder than I expected it. And not in bad ways, it's a new area and LA is so big.
oh
It
yeah.
it takes a while to get used to and to know where to go and where everything is. So I was doing that for a while and then I found out about Runway of Dreams and I got really interested and I've always had interest in modeling, but I just didn't know if it was possible just because I never looked in magazines and saw someone that looked like me, had my body type, had my disability, any of those things. So I don't know. I didn't really go for it. But then I found out about Runway of Dreams and I said, this is the first step. I said that to myself in my head. I was like, I'm going to do this. No matter if I do anything else, this is an opportunity. So I emailed them so many times. I think I emailed them probably once a month for a couple months. And then I ended up getting it. So I walked at New York Fashion Week for Runway of Dreams in September of 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
if the listeners haven't picked up on this yet, she's a very determined and driven
Yes.
person, which we're going to get into here with this upper extremity device that you went after. But first, you about the same time you attended a camp, correct? Is that where we're going next? Is attending
Yeah.
the Lucky Finn project?
Yeah, that was around the same time. I went to a weekend long, kind of hang with Lucky Finn Project. They do it once a year. And it was my first time going. I had known of Lucky Finn Project actually because years prior I did the Cup song from Pitch Perfect. That was a very big song. And I did a cover of it and it went viral. And Lucky Finn Project found me through there. So I had known of Lucky Finn Project from high school and all the way through college. And a year after being in LA, I decided to finally go to a trip and I GoFundMe it. I don't know if I said that
Yeah.
correctly, but yeah, I did that and everyone was super supportive and helping me attend. And that was a really cool trip. That was actually the first time I had been around so many people with the same disability as me. Prior to that, I had met two people in my life that had a limb difference like mine. So,
Really? Okay.
yeah, it was very interesting going there and not in a bad way at all. It was just like a little overwhelming, because you walk down the street and you see people that, have all their limbs. I see that all the time. I walk somewhere and I see that. But then I walk into a hotel and I see all these people who have limb differences like me. And it's like okay, hold up a second. Like, wow, is that what I look like to other people? It's just, it's a really cool feeling. And it was a really fun weekend. I met a lot of people. And that was also the first time that I had met people that had different devices like that I currently have now. And prior to that, I had never really been interested in getting a myoelectric prosthesis. But when I saw how much it benefited those at Lucky Finn Project, who I now call my friends, because of that weekend, I just decided that, I'm going to look into this. And I just started asking them questions and learning about their journey to getting theirs and what they had to do. Because I didn't know the process at
Right.
all. I didn't know what I was doing. Prior to that, I had never had any type of prosthesis except for the one for guitar. But this is only for guitar. This is not for my day to day.
Right.
And yeah, that's when I just decided, I want a myoelectric prosthesis. This is way better than I thought it would. This is going to enhance my life more than I thought it would. And I didn't know that until I saw it in person.
That's fabulous. And you were also developing some pain and discomfort, and I think you connected the dots there that probably through the conversation with others at camp that this might help. I think there's something we called it overuse
Yeah,
syndrome, I think was the terminology we went with. But it's very common with unilateral, both upper and lower extremity
it
individuals. And
is.
you had gone your entire life without a device on the one side, so basically overcompensating, doing everything on that one side. So
I
it
really
makes a lot of sense.
I really was. And from me leaving Berklee in Boston and going to LA, from the moment that I was in LA, I was working two jobs, the music publishing job that was originally an internship and became a job, and I was working at a retail store on top of doing writing sessions and gigging. So I was just going full force and really using my body as much as possible every day to do all the things that I wanted to do. And I think that's really when I started to just have the feeling of really being unbalanced and just the lack of strength on this side of my arm, my body compared to this side. And yeah, it all just kind of like came together.
So you put some paperwork together, submitted, and the insurance company said, "Yeah, okay, we'll send it to you."
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You submitted the justification paperwork, worked with your practitioner over at Advanced Arm, I believe, and you kind of went in. I think you told me that you were kind of, just from the conversations that you had at camp, that you weren't very confident in the first round. You were kind of expecting a denial.
I was. I learned that it is very normal for insurance companies to deny the first time that you request pretty much like anything. That's
Yeah.
what I had been told, and it's normal. So I knew going into it that that first request would get denied. So I wasn't discouraged or anything like that. I was definitely expecting it.
But they stated you've come this far in your life without a device. You
Hmm.
don't need one now, right? Something like that.
Yeah, the various things. So whenever you start this process of getting a myoelectric prosthesis, you go to your prosthetist. Mine is Mac at Arm Dynamics, and you go through all the different types of devices, all the different types of prosthetics that are out there to figure out what is best for your body. It was decided that for me, due to my day-to-day life, what I do, what I would be using the prosthesis for, plus my overuse of my sound side being the left side of my body, it was decided that a myoelectric prosthesis would be the best prosthesis for me in my body. So whenever I submitted the first request, I got denied. They just said it's not covered. They weren't going to do it. And then after that, I got so many more denials from them. But basically, at one point, they wanted to give me a body powered prosthesis instead of a myoelectric prosthesis. And there was specific notes by multiple doctors stating that I couldn't use a body powered prosthesis because it wouldn't help me. It would not relieve any stress from the sound side of my body, because a body powered prosthesis requires you to use your sound side in order to operate it, which is the exact opposite of what we were trying to do. We were trying to relieve work from my sound side. So I got comments like that from the insurance company. I got comments like, well, you've had your disability all your life and you've never had a prosthesis before, so you don't need one now. You've been fine. It just numerous things. It was crazy.
I can't imagine that really settled well with you.
It just, it made
That's
me
part.
so mad.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really did, because the thing is like, who is this person just reading this, request to decide what is best for my body? That should be up between me and my doctors. And my
Right.
doctors are telling me what I need, and you're not approving it. I just thought that
Right.
was so odd. A person is looking at a file and doesn't even know.
So
I didn't
what
like
did
that.
you were on a mission at this point. You just
Yeah.
decided you were going to go on a mission here and take this upon yourself to, we'll say, educate the providers who are saying, shutting the door on your request for this Be Bionic, or your medical professionals' request for a Be Bionic to better
Yeah.
your life. And what did a day look like for you? You were constantly educating yourself, trying to educate the insurers. You were setting up meetings, writing letters.
I was. Yeah, it really felt like another job for me. Every day, I think I would talk to the insurance company at least 3 to 4 times a week. On top of that, I would call Arm Dynamics almost daily, just because I had questions about so much, because I was always researching and reaching out to friends and just trying to learn as much as possible so that I could advocate for myself to the best of my ability. So it was it was a lot. I got testimonials from friends of mine who have a myoelectric prosthesis, and I wrote my own letters. I ended up at the very end of this entire process, I had documentation from 5 different doctors, which is a lot. I had, I think, 6 testimonials. I had my own testimonial, explaining why I need this prosthesis. I had so much documentation, so much documentation. It was
And
a
you
lot.
had
They did not make it easy.
and you had testimonials even from the other people that you met in camp and
Yeah,
how that bettered their lifestyle or bettered their lives and improved their lifestyle.
I did.
And you just had a wealth of information that you submitted. And this is over how many months post camp until you get to this point where you're sending them letters and phone calls and things like this? Is this going on for a couple months or?
So after camp, after like the Lucky Fin Project weekend, I didn't jump in to getting a prosthesis. I started the process actually in February or January of 2020. So basically right before COVID started, or COVID was starting to happen. And it took a year for me to get approved, which this is a little wild to say, but I was lucky for it to only be a year fight. I know people where it took them 7 years or longer to get approval from their insurance company for a prosthesis. Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want to discourage people that are listening. We want to certainly
No.
encourage them. This is unique, but it's a situation where her insurance company was denying, and she certainly didn't give up. But I love the way you talk about the wealth of resources that you had through your practitioner at Advanced Arm, and even the manufacturers of the products all have, if people don't know that, people that are considering going out and getting a prosthetic device. But
Yeah.
you know,
And
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, I definitely don't want anyone to feel discouraged either. I just think it was really good for me to know what I was getting into, and because I think that helped me know that I had to fight. I went in knowing that I needed to advocate for myself. And I think knowing that can help you a lot. And going into it, just having a support system and having people that you can go to. And it's also good to know that, okay, it took me a year, it took other people 7 years. It is still possible. If you don't get it in 6 months, if you don't get it at the 1 year mark like me, or a 2 year mark, like, it is still very possible.
Absolutely. And your story forges the path for others too. We
Yeah.
can use your story, your success of, oh, I kind of gave it away, didn't I? That you ended up getting the prosthetic. But
I mean, I'm wearing it, so I've already shown
good,
it.
good point. Good point. But that's how that's what's so great about us having this conversation. And I love the story about you going to camp and talking to others, because you share stories, success, failure, whatever, you're sharing stories and you're encouraging each other, and an outcome like this eventually, after many justification letters, testimonials, phone calls, meetings, and things like that. I'm sure you had a case manager that was fielding phone calls and
Yeah.
had you on speed dial. But eventually, you got that phone call from Advanced Arm, or how did you ultimately find out that?
The person on the insurance side that was assisting me with my case throughout the entire time, they called me to let me know. They said that they called me immediately after they found out that it got approved, just because they wanted me to know as soon as possible, because it had been such a process. I was calling that person multiple times a week. She probably had my phone number saved. I was calling Arm Dynamics literally almost every day. I was doing videos, that I would post on Instagram throughout the process, and I would call Arm Dynamics to like get my terminology correct, because I was like, I need to know. I have to make sure I do this right, so I don't want to mess it up. But yeah, so that's how I found out. And when she called, I like wasn't expecting it. I thought that she was calling to be like, "Oh, it's another denial," or "this is needed," and just more documentation. She was like, "Yeah, you got it." And I was like, "Okay, so like what happens? What now?"
Now
Like,
what? Right.
you fight for so long, and then it's like, "Okay, you get it." And then you're just like,
Was there
"Okay."
excitement in her voice when she was delivering that? I mean, did she feel like there was a victory there as well? I
Yeah.
mean, I would think that she was encouraged by the news, and like you've accomplished so much together after all this time.
Yeah, no, you could tell she was definitely excited about the news.
And then now reality kicks in. You're granted this device, approved, and you realize that you've got a gap, right,
Yeah.
in your insurance. You've got a deductible X amount of money that you have to figure out how to come up with in order to get this device.
Yeah, so every person is different. For anyone that's watching this, it will really, uh, if slash when you get approved for a prosthesis, if you request one, it'll be up to your insurance on how things proceed from there. For me specifically, I had to pay my out-of-pocket max, and that's all that I had to pay in order to fulfill what was required of me in order to get the device. And I just didn't have the funds. I'm a 20-something-year-old living in LA trying to make it in the entertainment industry. There's not a lot to give. So I really debated on what to do. I actually looked into different loans and just different nonprofit organizations and just everything that you can think of. I looked into it, and the best option that would allow me to like continue living my life and going after my dreams and being able to do that was to do a GoFundMe. And that was a really hard decision to make. I had a lot of conversations with the people around me, because you have to remember that I got approved for my prosthesis during COVID, like the height of COVID. And while
Was it?
my device is, yeah, my device is really important, but so is putting food on the table. Am I really going to ask people for money to help me with this? Like, it was hard decision to make, but it was the best decision. And everyone was so supportive. I mean, even GoFundMe gave me money. They donated to my
Oh,
thing.
oh,
Yeah, it was, I didn't even know they did that, but they did. It was very cool. It was very,
that's
very cool.
fantastic. So, were you excited? Because you flew to Portland for the casting and
Hmm.
fitting of that. What was that like? That was the first prosthetic you wore really in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Were you apprehensive? Were you just excited, or what was that process like?
I think at that point I had, really created a good relationship with the people at Arm Dynamics, just because I was in contact with them so much. And I had previously traveled to Portland to visit them because I had to see a different physician to help with the whole process of getting my prosthesis approved. So I had already met them. So when I went there to start the fittings and start the physical therapy, it felt normal and it felt comfortable. To some extent, I was a little nervous just because you don't know, what the process is going to be like. You don't know what's going to need to be done, and none of it's bad. It's just it's unknown territory. It was very unknown, but they made it so casual, so comfortable. I got like lunch breaks and all this stuff. I was hanging out half the time. Like they made it a lot of fun. I'm I'm really, really glad that they are my team.
Looking back, it's probably just an exhausting experience for you going through that, but what a great victory, and what a great story of self advocating. Advocating for yourself, building a team, building a wealth of information, getting that information to the insurers, everybody involved, and ultimately getting that approved. So congratulations!
Thank you.
I just think it's a great story, and I love sharing these stories with others who are considering going after a prosthesis, and I encourage them to work with their practitioner, do consultation with practitioner, talk to their reimbursement team. Like I said, the manufacturers like Ottobock has reimbursement 911 at ottobock.com. If the practitioner or the patient has any questions, there is an army out there,
Yeah.
and you discovered that quickly. You built one yourself for your cause, and obviously was a great success. What does today look like for you? You're out in LA. I know you can only tell me so much. You've got a lot of things going. You told me, I think earlier today or yesterday, that you had a very, very busy week.
I did.
So what's that look like that
So,
you can share?
Kiersten in LA, 2021. I am I'm performing. I am doing a lot of writing sessions and a lot of auditions. Everything is basically from home. All your auditions and self tapes, due to COVID, which is the way to go. So I'm home almost all the time. And I'm just like doing a ton of self tapes and auditioning for some really cool projects. I can't really say anything, whether I even get them or not, I don't know. But the growth I've seen in my career over the past year and a half has just been so cool. And I'm excited for the future. I'm very optimistic.
A couple months ago, you sent me a video of a music video you were in. I saw the Be
Yeah.
Bionic up there dancing. Who was that? Who was the artist?
That one was there was two different ones that I did. So I either sent you the record company, which is a band that is in LA. They came out with a single called How High. That's the music video that I'm in. That was a very cool set to work on because they just made it very comfortable. And there was water because there's like pool scenes and stuff like that. So they made sure to be aware of areas because, I can't be jumping in the water with this or have someone, do a little like dive and splash or cannonball. So that was a very cool set to be on. I don't know, everyone was so great. And then I did a Mike's Hard Lemonade like music video thing a couple months ago too that came out, and I'm also in the background just like vibing. That
Vibing,
was
vibing.
yeah, just vibing. Yeah, those were two different music videos that I was in. That was cool. That's all
Awesome.
that's out so far.
Lot of fun. Do you mind fielding a couple questions if we have some out there?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Kayla Mason. Oh, here we go. From Cameron. Who is your biggest musical inspiration? I guess I don't have to read these because you can
Yeah,
see those, but I sound more professional if I actually read them to you.
that's fine. Um, I don't know. I'm inspired by so many artists. I love artists like Fletcher. Fletcher is one of my favorite artists. I love her voice. I love her lyric writing. I love everything about her music. I'm a huge Ariana Grande fan. I love Adele. Adele's a good one. JoJo. There's so many. There's so many. I feel like I take pieces from every artist that I love and find inspiration. Oh, Billie Eilish. I love Billie Eilish. But
A lot of
yeah.
influences.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know. I think my music is kind of like my personality and my style in a sense. Like one day I want to wear all black, which is pretty much all the time. But then like sometimes I'm like I want to wear bright pink today. This is going to be the day.
It's a
So I
bright pink
think
day. Yeah,
yeah.
I get
So,
that.
and other times I'm like, my mood is I want to be very chill, relaxed. And then there's other days where I'm just like so energetic that my friends are like, okay, let's like pull back a bit here.
We're
So,
not we're not there. We're not with you right now. Yeah.
yeah. So I think I kind of bring that into music too. Like, I just want to take pieces from everything and create me in my songs.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You have another question, Kayla, from Ray. How has advocating for yourself for your device influenced other aspects of your life? I could answer, well, go ahead.
Prior to starting the process of fighting for my prosthesis, I wasn't really in the disability community. I didn't really follow a lot of things. I didn't know a lot. And that's not for any particular reason. It's just I didn't grow up being around people really that looked like me. And it never came up. But once I started the process of getting a prosthesis, it's like it was a domino effect. Like I found out one thing and then I found out another thing. And then I would just be like, watching so many videos, and I just got all these different books that were related to disabilities and the history of disabilities and just so much. And I think it really benefited me in a great way. I think now I'm much more outspoken regarding disabilities. I mean, I'm an outspoken person to begin with, but I think now I feel much more confident. And yeah, it was very positive for me. I'm learning more and more. I don't know everything. I will never be one to, say that or act that way. It's always a process of learning. Everything's always changing, but yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I look back at, I mean, just your story, and I love that how your upbringing and even going through elementary school and being, maybe not part of it right away, then being accepted by a teacher and all that stuff kind of just, I think, sets you up for that battle. I mean, it's just really,
Yeah.
to me, it really comes together, and certainly not taking no
No
for
for
an
an answer.
answer. You're like, okay, great, that's your opinion, but we're going this way instead. Then, we're going to make this happen one way or the other. You can come along with, or you can just stay where you're at. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also will say, at the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned I was bullied a lot growing up, and I was bullied a lot. It was not fun at all. But I also think it forced me to uh, have some tough skin, and I think that helped a lot. I think that really contributed to me being outspoken as well, and just not taking no for an answer, or not letting someone tell me like, no, you don't need this. You've been like this all your life. I know my body more than
Yeah.
anyone else. I'm telling you what I need. This is what I need. And so
Yeah.
I think all of it really, created what is me today.
Excellent. We have one more question, maybe. We have time for one more, I think. From Melissa, where can we find your music?
You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music. I'm pretty much on any streaming platform available.
Under Kiersten Kelly.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna get out there and listen to that. Maybe we can post something as well. But
Yeah.
I cannot thank you. Well, I got to ask you too, for anybody out there, mother, father, caregivers, the kid themselves that maybe you when you were 6, 7, 8 years old. Do you have any advice for them for where you're at, how much you've accomplished in such a short amount of time here? Um, do you have any words of advice?
I think if it's like, to kids, don't let other kids, get you down. Don't let what their mean words, influence your confidence. I think, just be you and do whatever you want, go after any hobby, go after anything that you're interested in, play the guitar, play piano, play drums, play any of it. Just go for it. I think to, high schoolers and adults, I mean, anyone, it's don't, don't let people get to you, and don't let people tell you what is best for you and for your body. Advocate for yourself, stick up for yourself. You know you better than anyone, and you know your disability better than anyone.
Awesome. And abilities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm also on the stewardship committee at Ottobock, and I know the Lucky Finn project means a lot to you. So I'm going to talk to the team about putting a donation out to the Lucky Finn project, and hopefully sponsor someone else to attend that camp, and we'll make that donation on your behalf, because I think that experience was just an incredible one for you, and it really opened up to where you're at today. I looked up Lucky Finn, and I think it says something about because having 10 fingers is overrated. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's their
So
saying.
I'm going to try to get a T-shirt too, because I think that's great. But thank you again, Kiersten, for joining us, sharing your story. Thanks for the drive and that self-advocacy and keep pushing. Keep pushing. I'd love to get you out to DC. We talked about that in the past, and just getting out there and educating the legislators through
I would
your
absolutely
story,
love
through
that.
your drive. So we'll make that happen.
Yes, please.
All right. You enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you
Thank
again. We'll
you.
talk
You
to you soon.
too. Okay.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody. Bye-bye. There it is.